a major U.S. China trade deal on rare earths, a surprising reconciliation between President Trump and Elon Musk, and the passing of a Beach Boys legend. Plus, if you've got a beard, you might want to stick around for what it could be harboring. And today's trivia question, what's the largest freshwater lake by surface area? I'll tell you at the end of the show. It's Thursday, June 12th. This is the Flyover Podcast. Welcome to the Flyover Podcast, taking you above the noise for an unbiased, high-altitude view of today's headlines with daily coverage that's honest and refreshing. Let's cruise the news and land the facts. Good morning and welcome to the Flyover Podcast. I am your weekday host, Ayla Brown. It's so great to have you with us. I'm not sure what you're doing right now or where you're listening from, but I'm glad that you're here. Grab your caffeinated beverage and let's take off with the biggest headlines of the day. First, the U.S. and China finalized a trade framework deal Wednesday, securing U.S. access to rare earth minerals and magnets vital for tech and defense, while allowing Chinese student visas. Negotiated in London after a President Trump, President Xi call last week, the agreement, led by Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick and Chinese Vice Premier He Lifeng, sets 55% U.S. tariffs and 20% Chinese tariffs, with China easing rare earth export limits for 6 months and the U.S. relaxing tech export controls. The deal, pending final approval, aims to resolve a dispute that disrupted automotive and electronics industries. Next, President Trump and Elon Musk moved to mend ties after Musk apologized late Wednesday on X for inflammatory posts, criticizing Trump's $3.7 trillion One Big Beautiful Bill tax and spending bill. Musk, who sparked the feud by slamming the bill and making deleted claims about Trump to Epstein, said he, quote, went too far. President Trump, speaking on Air Force One, welcomed the apology, but said he's focusing on national priorities like the China trade. Lastly, Brian Wilson, the musical genius, co-founder of the Beach Boys, died at 82 years old, his family confirmed on Tuesday. Inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1988, Wilson's innovative sound defined the 1960s, influencing artists like Paul McCartney, though he had faced mental health struggles and a 2024 conservatorship for a neurocognitive disorder. He's survived by 7 children. By the way, today's poll question is all about your favorite Beach Boys song, so stick around for that towards the end of the show. Here are your top political headlines. On Wednesday, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. named 8 new members to the CDC's Advisory Committee on Immunization Practices after dismissing all 17 previous members on Monday, June 9th. The new appointees include Dr. Robert Malone, an NRA researcher who has questioned COVID-19 vaccine safety, and Dr. Martin Kulldorff, a biostatistician known for co-authoring the 2020 Great Barrington Declaration opposing pandemic lockdowns. Kennedy, a longtime vaccine skeptic, said the overhaul aims to restore public trust, claiming the prior panel had conflicts of interest. The new ACIP is set to meet June 25th through the 27th in Atlanta to review vaccine policies. Next, a San Francisco federal judge rejected Governor Gavin Newsom's bid Tuesday to halt President Trump's deployment of 4,000 National Guard troops and 700 Marines to Los Angeles amid ICE raid protests, alleging it violates state sovereignty and the Posse Comitatus Act. Judge Charles Breyer scheduled a hearing for June 11th to hear the administration's response, with a ruling expected soon, as President Trump cites Title X to justify the move and Newsom claims unlawful ICE support. Lastly, Walmart faces boycott calls from President Trump supporters after Walmart heiress Christy Walton's June 10th New York Times ad backed No King's Day protests against President Trump's policies. Those Protests are set for June 14th in 20 various cities. Walmart is valued at $798 billion, and they say that Walton, who's worth $15.7 billion, has no active role. Its stock, though, fell 1.55% on Tuesday. We're brought to you by Native Path Hydrate. Did you know 75% of Americans don't get enough fluid daily? That's not good. But unlike other drink mixes loaded with sugar or salt, Native Path Hydrate is made with all 9 essential amino acids plus BCAAs for muscle recovery and only 230 milligrams of sodium, which is perfect for daily use. It's also completely natural, sugar-free, and just 5 calories per serving. Whether it's post-workout, during travel, or just trying to get through a busy day, it's a go-to for hydration without the junk. And with their 365-day money-back guarantee, there's really no risk. Try it for yourself at nativehydrate.com/flyover. That's nativehydrate.com/flyover. Or click on the link in the description below. Here are some bonus stories just for listeners of the Flyover Podcast. First up, President Trump announced Wednesday at Fort Bragg that 7 U.S. Army bases, renamed under Biden to erase Confederate ties, will revert to variations of their original names, honoring non-Confederate heroes like Master Sergeant Gary I. Gordon at Fort Gordon. The decision, effective immediately, follows the earlier restoration of Fort Bragg and Fort Benning names, with the Army highlighting new namesakes like Medal of Honor recipients. The announcement aligns with Trump's planned military parade on June 14th in Washington, D.C. In-N-Out Burger Fries took the crown in a new national ranking of fast food fries, scoring a 3.86 out of 5 based on over 40,000 Yelp reviews across 25 locations. If you're wondering what else came into the list, Shake Shack placed second with 3.7, followed by Freddy's, Bojangles, and Chick-fil-A rounding out the top 5. Now, surprisingly, McDonald's, long hailed for its fries, landed near the bottom with a 1.91 average. Only KFC fared worse. Reviewers favored freshness, quality, and consistency, putting those hand-cut potato spuds ahead of the mass-produced variety. And lastly, this is fascinating, but letting pets sleep in bed can interfere with deep sleep, according to sleep researchers. Dogs and cats have different sleep cycles, often waking during the night or becoming active at dawn, which can disturb owners without them realizing it. While pets provide comfort and emotional support, experts say they may worsen sleep quality, especially in households with multiple animals. Still, many pet owners say the trade-off is worth it. So what do you think about these stories? Leave a comment in the comments section wherever you are listening or watching the Flyover Podcast. That's your podcast extra roundup. As always, I'm looking forward to giving you more exclusive content in tomorrow's podcast. Coming up, if you or someone you love has a beard, you'll want to hear why scientists say it could be dirtier than a toilet unless you're doing this one simple thing. I'll tell you that just coming up. In finance today, consumer prices rose 0.1% in May, less than the 0.2% economists expected, keeping annual inflation at 2.4% per the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Core inflation, excluding food and energy, hit 0.3%, the highest since January due to tariff pressures, while falling gas prices offset higher shelter and healthcare costs. The Fed, aiming for 2% inflation, will likely keep rates at 4.25 to 4.5% next week, with 2 2025 cuts possible. Next, General Motors announced a $4 billion investment over 2 years to shift production from Mexico to U.S. plants, boosting output by 300,000 vehicles in response to potential President Trump tariffs. The move, detailed Tuesday, includes $1.8 billion for Michigan and Indiana facilities. GM stock rose 2% in early trading, reflecting investor confidence in its pivot amid U.S. China trade talks easing tariff fears. And lastly, Google offered voluntary buyouts to U.S. employees across search ads, knowledge and information marketing, and engineering on Tuesday, while mandating office returns for many remote workers to cut costs and focus on AI. The move, part of a multi-year headcount reduction plan, follows 12,000 layoffs in 2023 and aims to fund $75 billion in AI investments. Here's how the stock market did yesterday. The market slipped a bit across the board. The Nasdaq dipped 0.50%, while the S&P 500 edged down 0.27%. The Dow Jones held mostly flat at 42,865. Over in crypto, Bitcoin fell 1.5% to $108,617, but gold surged up 1.42% to $3,368 per ounce. And the day's biggest mover, Oklo, the nuclear energy startup, which saw its stock rocket up nearly 30% after landing a U.S. military contract to power an Air Force base in Alaska. Here are some of the stories happening in today's sports. The U.S. men's soccer team suffered a 4-0 defeat to Switzerland in a friendly match Tuesday night at Geodis Park in Nashville, with all 4 goals conceded in the first 40 minutes. The Swiss, ranked 19th globally, exploited defensive errors from the 11th-ranked U.S. squad. The team faces Mexico next week to regroup. The New York Knicks search for a new head coach after firing Tom Thibodeau on June 2nd, and it's hitting snags as multiple NBA teams have denied them permission to speak with their coaches. The Knicks, fresh off a 3-2 loss to the Pacers in the Eastern Conference Finals, targeted Dallas Mavericks' Jason Kidd, but were rebuffed. Other candidates like the Clippers' Tyronn Lue and Heat's Eric Spoelstra are also off limits due to existing contracts. The Knicks may pivot to assistants like Boston's Sam Cassell. And female college athletes are appealing the $2.8 billion House versus NCAA settlement, finalized on June 6th, arguing it violates Title IX by prioritizing payments to male athletes. The settlement, which allows schools to pay athletes directly and covers past NIL earnings, allocates 75% of funds to men's sports, primarily in basketball and football. The appeal, filed in Atlanta's 11th Circuit, could delay or reshape the landmark deal. I know you've been waiting for this news. Do you have a beard? If so, listen up, because science says that beards can carry more germs than toilets if they're neglected. But there's good hope, okay? Daily washing with soap and regular grooming like combing and oiling cut hygiene risks by 90%. Unwashed beards, though, may harbor bacteria like Staphylococcus. Yuck. Proper care, including weekly trims and avoiding touching, keeps risks low, even for food service workers. So please share that information with anyone who has a beard. Next, archaeologists uncovered a 2,000-year-old trash pit in Palencia, Mallorca, Spain, revealing that small birds like sparrows and thrushes were a popular fast food in the Roman city. Excavations found charred bones, showing the birds were grilled or pan-fried, skewered, or plated by street vendors, with 80% of remains from songbirds. This diet was common in the Mediterranean from 100 BCE to 200 CE. Lastly, 3 at-home tests measuring walking speed, grip strength, and memory recall can gauge your biological aging by assessing cognitive and physical decline. A 2024 study found slower walkers and weaker grips at age 45 correlate with faster aging. A 30-second word recall test flags cognitive health. You can find this test in today's email edition of the Flyover, plus some tips on how to keep those beards clean, gentlemen. All you have to do is subscribe for free at jointheflyover.com. From retro tech to vintage vibes, today's Throwback Thursday is full of nostalgia. A 1979 Asteri 2600 running Atari Chess beat ChatGPT in a head-to-head match. Classic car lovers can scoop up some under-the-radar European gems for under $15,000, and we've got a heartwarming photo collection of kids and their cats through the decades. Check out all the details in today's email edition of the Flyover. Coming up, what do you get when an osprey, 2 crows, and a shark cross paths over a disc golf course? One wild story from Myrtle Beach that'll make you look up the next time you tee off. Here are a couple stories that were too good to leave out. On May 18th, Jonathan Marlowe was playing at Splinter City Disc Golf Course in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, when an osprey, chased by 2 crows, dropped a small hammerhead shark near the 11th hole. The osprey, likely hunting near the Atlantic about half a mile away, lost its grip during the crow's mobbing behavior. Marlowe left the shark, hoping the osprey would reclaim it, but another golfer later found it still there. Ugh. In Pittsburgh, Kate and Joe Thompson bought a 1997 Thomas International bus for $2,500 on Craigslist and spent $20,000 over 2 years to convert it to a 200-square-foot tiny home on wheels for themselves and their 2 Great Danes. The 40-foot bus, gutted and rebuilt with a bedroom, kitchen, and solar panels, now travels the U.S. with stops in 15 states in 2024. Check out the story and the pictures in today's email edition. They're pretty fascinating. Here's yesterday's poll question and the results. Have you ever used a genetic testing service to trace your ancestry? 60% said no, 34% said yes, and 6% said, I'm thinking about it. I voted with the majority of you guys on that one. And here's the poll question for today. What is your favorite Beach Boys song? Is it Good Vibrations, California Girls, God Only Knows, I Get Around, Fun, Fun, Fun? Or maybe it's another song that's not on that list. For me, there are so many that I love that are not on the list. Wouldn't it be nice? Kokomo, Don't Worry Baby, Help Me Rounda, help me rounda. So while the ones on the list are awesome, I would have to vote other because there's just too many other good ones to choose from. Here's your trivia question for today. What's the largest freshwater lake by surface area? That title goes to Lake Superior, which spans about 31,820 square miles, roughly the size of South Carolina. It's not the deepest. That lake is actually located in Russia, but it definitely takes up the most space. That wraps up today's Flyover Podcast. Thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. Don't forget to share, rate, and leave a 5-star review if you're enjoying the ride. I'll be back tomorrow with more headlines and another podcast extra. Until then, thanks for flying with us.